Okay, so what we'll look at in this lesson is creating the podium puzzle. And to create this statue podium puzzle, what we're going to need is a couple of elements. So we'll need a podium or something that we can place the statue on, and we'll need the statues themselves. And the way it's going to work is the podium will check to see whether the statue is on the podium, and then when it is, it will open this door here. So what we'll do is we will first break down the code. If you don't wish to watch the breakdown of the code, you can skip ahead. I will put timestamps in the timeline for you. But let's first look at the code. So let me grab the script. There's going to be two scripts for this. There's the podium script and the statue puzzle. Let's first look at the podium script. Okay, so what's going on in the script? We've got a reference to the statues or the placeable objects in this instance. So it's an array of statues. A reference to the door. This is reference to the correct statue to place, and the way we're going to grab this is later on down here within this script. So what's happening is, as soon as we start the level, we're going to get our objects from this array here. So whatever statues in this array, we're going to get them. Once we get them, we're going to randomly select one of them objects, and that's going to be the object that's going to be able to be placed within our podium. So it's to reiterate, it's going to go through this list, grab one of them and say use this one, and this one is going to be the key to unlock the door, essentially. And the way it checks that is it says if placeable object is more than 0, so if we've got more than no placeable objects, then what we do is the correct object to place is equal to the placeable objects, and using a random range, we're going to randomly select one of them. When you drop the item in the podium, it's going to do a check. It's going to check if that game object's name is equal to the game object's name that's been selected from here, and if it is, get the door and open it. If it isn't, don't do anything. When you pick up the object and remove it from the podium, basically you're going to do the same check, but this time you're going to close the door. It's a really, really easy script. The statue puzzle script, and slightly more variables to it, but it's still easy. So, has a boolean, and basically checks if the player is already carrying the object. Checks if the player can pick up the objects. Reference to the player. Reference to the object's origin position, so where it was originally in the game. Objects rigid body. Object collider. And then the UI manager. I'm not sure why. In fact, we can actually get rid of the UI manager. It's not being used. So let's go to that. So what's happening? When we start the level, the player, we're going to find that. So find the player by searching for any objects, tag this player, and store it in that variable. Get the rigid body from the statue object. Get the collider. And also then set the origin to the current position of the object. So we do a void update. So basically every frame, what we're checking is check if player is carrying an object. If the player is carrying an object, then basically places the object in front of the player when it's carrying. If you press F again, it will place the object. Otherwise, what you can do is you can pick up the objects, and that's what we're doing here. So we're calling this pickup object function. When the player enters the collider of the statue, as soon as it enters it, we'll say, well, the player can now pick up. When we exit, the player can't pick up anything anymore. We do the pickup function, and basically this pickup function sets is carrying to true. It sets kinematic to true. It disables the object's collider, and we do a quick debug to say we picked up the object, just so we know we picked up the object. We do another function which is place object, and that basically sets these two flags as false, so we're not carrying the object anymore, and kinematic is no longer enabled. We then re-enable the object's collider. And that's a real simple breakdown of this really, really simple script. So to get it working, to get the actual mechanics working, what we need to do is we need to put a podium in. So I've got these models, you'll have your own models. But I'm going to grab this podium and just drop it in. And then I need to add a box collider to it. And then another box collider. The bottom one's going to be the trigger. This one, I just want to make smaller than the trigger. In fact, let's get rid of this one for now. Set up this way. So this is going to be my trigger. Should make it big so that I know as soon as this object touches it, it's sweet, it works. And then I'll make another collider. And then what I'll do is set the height of this one just inside that. So basically when our object comes in, it's going to sit within this nicely. Let's turn it back on now. Yep. Okay. So that's the podium pretty much done. The only thing we need to do is drag our script onto it. So we go to our scripts, and these scripts are available to you on the Moodle page. So I grab the script and I just drag the podium script onto it. Now when we look at the podium script, we've got a couple of configurables that we need to sort out. So firstly, it's asking for the door. So we go to our door, remember it's the child object, and we just grab the child object door and drop it on. This is asking for placeable objects. I'm going to use 3 objects for this puzzle. So 1, 2, 3. I can't drop them on just yet because I haven't put them in the game. So let's work on that now. So I go to my prefabs and I grab a statue and I just drop it in. Again, we're going to need 2 box colliders. So box collider, box collider. This one's going to be a trigger. Remember, if we look at our script, we have a rigid body. So let's do that. Let's add the rigid body. And that's it. The only thing I need to do now is make sure that this is going to be reactable to when the player enters it. So just make it a little bit bigger so that when the player enters it, it's going to work. And essentially, I just do the same thing for each one. Okay, so now that they're set up, we just need to drag the script on. So let's do that. Highlight all three, go to my scripts, and drag the statue puzzle script on. Okay, so select the podium, select these three elements, and then I can go statue 1, statue 2, statue 3. Hit play. Grab a statue. And it's not working. Might be because the collider's not set. The collider's set on this one, so the collider's probably not big enough on this, but I can fix that any time. So I'm going to move it and drop it, and it doesn't work because it's not the correct one. So pick it up, move it out, pick this up, and that does work. It's just been a bit dodgy, so we just need to fix that because it's not colliding properly. So what I can do for here is pick this up, put it side by side, and just see what's going down. And it's likely because this collider needs to be longer. So this collider that we're editing here is going to be the first collider. This collider is our trigger. So just making sure that these are correct. And it is TD sim, that should go right. So let's stop the game. There. Let's try that in a minute. But this is what we need to sort it out as well because this wasn't big enough. So let's do that. Let's do this. Just trigger and push it back a little bit more there. Okay, let's try again. So I know statue 3 is the one to place, which is this one. It doesn't seem to like this. And this is because our script isn't attached to it, that's why. So that's my mistake. Because the script's attached here. So you won't have this problem. It's only specific to mine because of the way this particular model was set up. Let's try again. So statue 2, which is this one, is the correct one to pick up. So it does work. There's some clipping problems, but we can always fix that. But it works. So to fix the clipping problems, what we're going to do is we can set it now that we know that works, that these can come in, so they're not going to activate straight away. Because let's say we want it to be here. Okay. Also makes it now easier to do this bit here, which we just drop this down more, like so. Try and play one more time. And then our statue 1 is the one to pick up. So again, it's teething problems. I'm just going to fast forward through this once I've fixed it so that you can see the end result. So we fixed it. And the way we fixed it is very simple. I'll show you on this one first. Is we've got rid of one of the box colliders and instead we've replaced it with a mesh collider. Make sure the mesh collider is convex and provides contacts. And then essentially it works. For the podium, what we've done is we've got rid of one of the box colliders, added a child object, which is just contains a collider, that's the size we want it, and that just stops the object falling all the way through. This is just more of a cosmetic thing, it's not necessity. Move that in a bit more, and move that in a bit more, just so it allows us to walk through properly. It just, like I said, it just stops the object falling all the way through it and then kind of clipping. So I'll show you on this statue how to do this. Get rid of that. We'll keep that as it is, that's fine. Maybe modify it a little bit. Go to anchor component and mesh collider. Convex, provide contacts. One thing you need to remember is also to turn off your rigid body for just make sure that it doesn't fall over essentially. So you can pick it up, but you don't want it to fall over. You don't fall them. So you just freeze the rotation. So you stop it from falling over. You wouldn't freeze the rotation if you wanted to rigid body. If you wanted to rotate the object, you don't freeze him. So if we hit play, and it's telling us to pick up statue 1, which is this one, so we pick it up, drop it in, and our door opens, which now works, which is great. I hope that was a good lesson, and I will see you in class.